¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
It is Friday Junior, folks. Michael Hasser, Quad Bennett. Heat, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. Let me just reset that there. Today we have quite the amount of stuff to go through, so I think we should probably get started. Folks, if you want to support the channel, there are many different ways that you can. You can follow the stream here on Twitch, as many of you have done. You can like the stream on YouTube. I see you. You can subscribe. Biddies. There's also merch you can also check out by clicking or by typing !merch. Join the Discord, okay? This Saturday. We are doing a movie night, which this month's movie is going to be Dune. Thank you for the suggestion, Michael Hasser. So if you want to be a part of that and you want to join us, just !Discord. Look at that. See, the custom bot is working just like it's supposed to be. Sorry, I was finishing a joint. No worries. I need to go grab I need to also go grab a beverage as we get this started. Probably sometime at some point in the stream. All right, folks, let's get started. I think we should probably start here.
Conservative comedians at the Babylon Bee are now in hot water because they made a joke at the expense of white supremacists that didn't go over too well for some reason that they can't quite figure out. And now they don't know why they're facing this backlash from their own fans, but they're actually not the only conservatives to recently get a wake-up call about the audience that they've cultivated this week. Now, if you're
True. It's always a good call with Mike. Yep.
Familiar with the Babylon Bee, they're basically the right-wing equivalent of The Onion, but not funny. But without further ado, this is the satirical piece in question that ruffled so many of their fans' feathers. Quote, "The white race must maintain our genetic purity," says Inbred Man. Now they go on to write, quote, "Local white supremacist and product of incest, Randy Biggums isn't shy about his radical beliefs regarding race in America, telling reporters Saturday that Caucasians have a moral responsibility to maintain genetic purity by only marrying other purebred members of the European race. Quote, "Us whites are genetically superior and we gotta keep our blood pure," added the Inbred Man. Yeah, so it's not the first time that this joke has been told. In fact, just 4 days earlier, right-wing grifter Ian Miles Chong made a similar joke, writing on Twitter, quote, "The superior race has some pretty bad representatives. Why are they always morbidly obese?" Now I'm sure that you'll be totally shocked to hear that that didn't go over too well with his fans as well. But
Jesus. I didn't even see that one from Ian Miles Chong.
we'll get to that in a moment. But for the most part, the Babylon Bee made a pretty common joke about white supremacists, but here's how their fans reacted when they decided to share that on Twitter. Were you guys hacked by Jimmy Kimmel? Unfollow. Zero white guilt. It's good to be white. What were you hoping to accomplish with this one? Wow, who thought this was a good idea? This person tagged the manager of Twitter, saying Elon Musk X terms clearly states this is against its terms. If this post is acceptable, then does that mean it is now permissible to slander people based on race, genetics, or disability? I mean, they're already doing that, so I guess, yeah. Welp, it's been nice. Unfollowed. Disgusting organization. How to admit you're Jewish without actually saying it.
Yeah, That was yeah. That's there was a lot going on there. Swastika tat and Confederate flag bikini.
White
Yep.
Lives Matter California writes, Jews always invert reality and
Oh no. A Nazi account.
says it's Jewish people who are actually inbred. LOL, good one. Anyway, check this cool microbiology blog I found, and then they link to a WordPress blog about how Ashkenazi Jews are
Oh, I hypocrite. Yeah. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks. I hypocrite is a Nazi.
actually the ones who are inbred, not white people. Gotcha. This person just shared a bunch of screenshots of articles saying that Jewish people aren't white. This person shares an article about how LGBTQ people were accepted in Berlin until the Nazis came to power. And I guess the implication is that it was good that the Nazis
Yeah, this is another Nazi.
persecuted them. And this person just shared a picture of Sydney Sweeney with no context, but I mean, take from that what you will. Now, Matt14 shared some more screenshots with one person calling them anti-white, another saying, we get it, you're all Jews, and one person questioning if they've gone woke. Now, another user shared screenshots accusing them of taking Jewish marching orders, saying,
Yeah. Nazi. That's definitely a Nazi.
the site is run by Jewish people, and another called it Jewish projection. Now, you're only getting a tiny, tiny fraction of all of the anti-Semitism in response to that tweet, and it gets much more Nazi-like the deeper you go into that thread. So we're going to stop here so that way we can still be published on YouTube.
This is not just a deck of cards. This is a collection of 54 beautifully designed storyteller tactics full of practical tips.
But the folks at
I mean, Republicans kind of deserve it, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, this is the bed they decided to lie in, right? Like, you can't be surprised, Pikachu face, that you cultivate a bunch of you cultivate an audience of a bunch of Nazis, and then when you dare do one joke that goes against them, you can't be surprised, Pikachu face, that they're all coming out of the woodwork.
the Babylon Bee were clearly caught off guard by the sheer amount of backlash to that article that they faced, and the owner of the Babylon Bee, Seth Dillon, actually addressed his disappointed white supremacist fans, writing on Twitter, "When you're personally offended by a joke about white supremacy, you might want to rethink some things, including whether Christ really is your king."
Yeah, but like, again, no introspection here, right? No introspection, like, how did we get here? Can't we? Yes, we have an emote for that. Zero introspection.
Now, I'm assuming that he added the Christ is King part because he's likely been seeing a lot of replies like these where people use Christ as King to be anti-Semitic towards him since he is Jewish. And these are just two examples that...
Yeah, this is a Nazi.
he shared. In fact, the very first reply that I saw was someone saying to him, "You're Jewish, right?" Now, Seth Dillon also shared this tweet from CCG Bryson, who pointed out the different responses to their jokes in the past. Vivek joke, funny. Joke about Jewish tunnels, funny. Jokes about black people, funny. Jokes about white people, way too far. Now, in response, Seth Dillon writes, "It wasn't even about white people. It was a joke about white supremacists, and it was originally published back in 2017 without any backlash. Something changed, but it wasn't us." And finally...
Zero introspection, folks. Zero. Zero introspection. Zero intellectual curiosity as to how we got here. Hey, Firefly, how's it going?
He retweeted this post from Frank Fleming, who said, "I think this article is all the way back from like the first week of the Babylon Bee, but man, look at the replies now. It's like an upturned rock." So it's really interesting to me that Seth Dillon interprets this backlash from his audience as them going mask off, but he didn't think twice when his audience loved this blatantly racist post about Vivek Ramaswamy, where they say, "Trump promises Vivek an administration position running the White House 7-Eleven. So Seth is seemingly confused about why his audience is fine with edgy jokes about non-white races, but really touchy about jokes at the expense of white people, specifically white supremacists. And allow me to help you out, Seth. It's because they're white supremacists. This is the audience that you cultivated, so of course they're going to roast you for poking fun at white supremacists because that's who they are. They don't go to the Babylon Bee for satire or jokes. They go to the Babylon Bee so you can reinforce their white supremacist worldview, and if they happen to laugh at a racist joke or two, well then that's just a bonus. But ultimately they are seeking ideological confirmation, not jokes, and he doesn't understand that about his own audience. That's why there's this backlash, and this is a lesson that Ian Miles Chong also had to learn this week as well, because in response to his joke about white supremacist Nazis that we saw earlier, the Nazis who follow him also reacted as we'd all expect. The very first reply that you see with 7,000 likes shares a picture of him saying glass houses etc. That one girl looks pregnant, not fat. Project much? Well, that was racist. When you said superior race, it took me a minute because I didn't see any Israeli symbols.
Uh-oh. He just sees dollar signs. Yep.
But then I realized it was just their retro symbols. Did Ian get hacked? Who finances you?
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's who finances you? That's a dog whistle. I hear it.
I cherry-picked 3 people to spin my narrative because I'm afraid of surging nationalism. This person chimed in with stats to show that it's actually non-white people who are the most obese, and there were other countless posts from anti-black racists basically chiming in to say, actually, it's black people who are the fattest, and that was like a common thing that you see all throughout this thread. This person says, well, according to the left, just about any white person who knows who their ancestors are and are proud of their accomplishments are, quote, white supremacists. So that would actually make me one too, and I happen to be fit with no trauma tats. Interesting. This person says, I guess you're referring to the swastika? Most people with swastikas have been to prison and was forced into a gang for survival.
No. That's not how that works.
It's the groups outside in power positions with no markings we should worry about nowadays. I believe there are still lots of Nazis in USA, Ukraine, Germany. Now, that thread goes on and on and on, but I mean, you get the point. Now, the lesson for right-wing grifters like Ian Miles Chong and Seth Dillon is that the right-wingers in their audiences will not tolerate jokes about white supremacists and Nazis because they feel as if you're making fun of them when you make those jokes. And you are. They're offended by jokes about white supremacists because that's who they are, which is why the whole I'm not making fun of white people, just white supremacists excuse doesn't land with them. The average conservative is a white supremacist. They may not explicitly say that they think non-white races are inferior, but that's because they cloak their racism in buzzwords like woke and DEI. For example, in response to the bridge collapse in Baltimore, this large account on Twitter responded saying, quote, this is Baltimore's DEI mayor commenting on the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge. It's going to get so much worse. Prepare accordingly. And as Sean put it, DEI, wokeness, critical race theory, political correctness, cultural Marxism, montage of the right trying on different euphemisms for just being a racist. And he is exactly right. So instead of saying, I don't want my children learning about black people, they'll call it CRT and be opposed to that. Instead of saying that they don't want to see black people in movies, they'll say that the movie went woke and they're not going to watch it because of that. And it's
right. Prepare accordingly. Scary wording. Yep. I'm scared to go out in the internet. Yeah, it's a scary place. It's a scary place.
Instead of just saying the N-word, they're now just saying DEI. And we haven't even gotten to their fear-mongering about brown and black immigrants from Latin America and Haiti, but conspicuous silence about white immigrants from Ukraine and Europe. I wonder why that is. See, there's a reason for that in all of this. You can't untether white supremacy from the modern conservative movement because they're inextricably linked at this point. Seth Dillon and Ian Miles Chong didn't realize that, and it's why they faced backlash for their jokes about white supremacists from their white supremacist audiences. So I hope I was able to clear that up for them.
True.
Woke mob.
Woke mob. Yep. I mean, that's the bed you decided to make, you know. And this is like surprising to nobody, okay? This should be surprising to nobody. Unfortunately, these people don't have any sense of introspection or any sense of intellectual curiosity to discover or to ask how and why, or all of a sudden, a bunch of Nazis deciding to appear. And I have a feeling we're not going to get that. We're not going to get that from these two. That's right, because they've been there all along. Yep. No critical thinking on their part whatsoever. All right, let's shift gears here to one of our favorite ghouls, Ben Shapiro. I've got a feeling that this is going to be a funny clip, okay? Because if we remembered last time's interaction between Ben Shapiro and Piers Morgan, that was pretty embarrassing for Ben Shapiro. Either of those guys could be called a ghoul. That's true. That's true. What's the over-under he's going to storm off the Piers Morgan interview? It's only 4 minutes.
One of the consequences of this war has been a lot of very high passions on both sides, a lot of angry disagreements. You and your company have been at the centre of a very high-profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire.
Fired. Not left. Fired. Although I don't know if at the time that was public information, I guess. I don't know.
Was she fired, or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
Oh, man. Ben delivers. Ben delivers.
At all?
At all.
You can't give me any insight into why she departed?
Oh, man. He is going to walk off. He is going to walk off the internet. I mean, off the internet, I wish. He is going to walk off the interview, isn't he?
No hints, no nothing. I'm not going to speak to this.
Can I ask why?
I mean, you can ask.
No, I'm not. Can I ask why you don't want to say anything?
Again, you can ask.
Dude. Oh, man, this is gold. I love it. I love it. Yeah, will Ben walk? Okay. We should do that then. See what we can do. All right, we'll do a fast poll, okay? We'll do a quickie poll. I'd say strike 2 is imminent, and strike 3 he's out. Bum 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 bum. What I come into chat? We've only done 44 seconds of this, so I think it's worth replaying. Okay, we're trying to see whether or not he's gonna walk out of this interview with Piers Morgan, because Piers Morgan opened up this segment by by asking him about Candace Owens. So let's see. The over under seems to be yes. We're gonna see.
One of the consequences of this war has been a lot of very high passions on both sides, a lot of angry disagreements. You and your company have been at the center of a very high profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire. Was she fired?
Also, welcome, Wolf Glenn.
Or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
At all?
At all.
You can't give me any insight into why she departed?
No hints, no nothing. I'm not going to speak to this.
Can I ask why?
Ben is big mad. Ben is big mad. Whew. You love to see it.
I mean, you can ask.
No, I'm not. You can ask why you don't want to say anything.
Again, you can ask.
I'm only curious because I know what a staunch defender of free speech you are, and it would surprise me if it had been someone's opinions.
Right, he had to know he would be asked. Right, and like, is Ben Ben has been doing this for years now, right? You know, this isn't his first rodeo. He knows who Piers Morgan is now. Okay? He knows by now who Piers Morgan is. So, I mean, that's too funny. Look at that face. Oh yeah, he's big mad. He's big mad.
That would make you want to part company with them. However contentious.
I mean, suffice it to say, the only thing I will say is what I've said all along with regard to Candace or with regard to any of our other hosts. I am not in hiring and firing position with the Daily Wire. I'm a co-founder of the Daily Wire. I'm a co-owner of the Daily Wire. I'm not actually in management. Jeremy Boring and Caleb Robinson are in management positions with regard to Candace or anyone else. And as far as the free speech situation, what I will say is that no company has the obligation to literally pay anyone. The Daily Wire is a publisher. It is not a platform. I've never called for Candace or anyone else for that matter to be banned from YouTube, to be banned from X, to be banned from any platform. That's a different story.
I mean, you can perform all the mental gymnastics that you want, Ben, but no one's buying that nonsense, okay? No one is buying that nonsense. No one is buying the nonsense that the Daily Wire isn't a platform. The Daily Wire is literally the biggest, if not one of the biggest, consistently in terms of views and traffic when it comes to conservative online media. The Daily Wire is literally always at the top or near the top spot when it comes to conservative media. It is a platform. Removing Candace Owens is removing her platform, okay? Because she does not have access to the amount of traffic that the Daily Wire provides and the resources that the Daily Wire provides to facilitate those eyeballs to get to her program. It is a platform. He can say all he wants and perform mental gymnastics to try to say whatever. It's not working. No, sorry. I don't buy it. And the reason why he's doing this is because he knows that Piers Morgan kind of got him. Kind of got him with that hypocrisy.
Obviously, when it comes to any publisher gets to make decisions about what it wishes to purvey and not.
I mean, I'm just not going to labour this, but one more point I would make is it's been reported extensively that the reason for her departure was because her comment to be perceived by people at the Daily Wire as anti-Semitic.
You have a say, Benny. You're not completely hands off. Yeah, that's true too. I don't believe that he's like, just going, oh, I couldn't do anything about it. You're the co-founder, dude. Just because you're not in a management position does not mean that you can't, swing the co-founder handle and the co-founder hammer and say, you know what, this is not good for the company. If you were capable of banning her from YouTube, he'd probably do that too. Yep.
Again, I'm not going to comment on this, Piers.
Okay. Rabbi Shmuley, would you comment on him? Because Jeremy has actually commented on Rabbi Shmuley. He said, I've avoided commenting publicly on Rabbi Shmuley because, as far as I can tell, the man is an attention whore of the highest order. Is that the general position of the company on Mr. Shmuley?
I mean, that's my personal position for sure. I mean, I think that, Rabbi Shmuley happens to be a person with whom I agree on some matters related to, say, Middle East policy. And I also believe that his devotion to camera and notoriety have made him do some untethered things in recent days.
I mean, there's a clip I'm just going to play.
That's one way of putting it. Porsche Morgan, nah, I think he's done.
And you can comment or otherwise, but it was extraordinary to me. We've had him on this show a few times, but I found.
Oh wait, no, he's
really
gonna. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Purim is a day of celebration. We feel bad for Candace Owens that she lost her job. So I figure, with her image of what Jews are supposed to look like, why not at least validate her? I am dressed up as a Candace Owens Jew. Now, this is not a Christian child, this is a Jewish child. But if it would be,
oh dear.
I got my Christian blood. Mmm, spicy, delicious. I got my Jewish nose. I have filth, because Jews are all filth. And more than anything else, what does 80 have? Money!
I mean, what is your reaction to that clip?
I mean, the phrase in Hebrew is that's what we would call a chilul Hashem, right? It's a desecration of God's name, and that sort of behavior is disgusting in any context. And frankly, I don't know an Orthodox Jew who feels differently about that. Not one.
Do you think he should be given airtime anymore?
Welcome, Kamikaze on.
Rabbi Shmuley?
I mean, I'm not going to make decisions about who should air him and who should not. What I will say is that that sort of behavior is untethered from reality and makes a mockery of much of the mission for people like me, which includes fighting anti-Semitism.
Yeah, but I get a lot of people.
But he did it that he got the idea, that costume that he did was based on Candace's own comments. Right? So we're not gonna address that? No? Okay.
Actually, after his most recent appearance here, just saying this guy does not speak for most Jewish people like me. And they write in their droves and they say, please stop having someone on.
Well, I mean, what he's doing there certainly doesn't speak for literally any Jew that I've heard of or know. I mean, I can't speak to his positions on Israel. Again, my positions on Israel speak for my positions on Israel, but that's a different story from dressing up in a Sturmer costume to mock anti-Semitism. I think that's quite counterproductive and especially given the online discourse pretty negative in pretty much every way I can think of.
Yeah.
Yep. They both need to go away. True. Has she resurfaced yet? It may take some time. Yeah, she has not. She has not resurfaced yet. I'm surprised. Like, I'm disappointed that Piers did not connect that clip with Candace Owens. That, by the way, Rabbi Shmuley is a complete and total loon. I was hoping I would get some more reaction. I really wanted to see like Ben just like rage quit that interview. He was trying so hard. He was trying so hard to keep that composure. They never go deeper as viewers would get confused. All right, shifting gears here, folks.
MAGA cultist Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared on the podcast of fellow MAGA cultist Steve Bannon, in which she peddled a number of deranged conspiracy theories, including the idea that, number one, President Obama is running the country, number two, elusive proof that the 2020 election was stolen is finally around the corner and she'll have it to produce pretty soon, and number three...
What? Are they going to finally release the Kraken after 4 years? Spoiler alert. That evidence is never coming, folks. It never happened. Okay? It never happened. That's a delusion that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon are going to continue to push until they can't push it any further.
Three, there's conspiratorial election shenanigans going on to try to rob the Republicans of victory in 2024. But before we unpack all of that deranged stuff, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bell before you go.
Marjorie and Taylor Greens. At least greens are good for you. At least greens are good for you.
I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, friends, don your tinfoil hats because we have maximum Marjorie Taylor Greene craziness. I'm going to play several clips from her appearance on the Steve Bannon War Room. And I should also add,
War Room.
At one point, Steve Bannon says something crazy. It's not exactly out of the ordinary.
Yeah, Steve Bannon saying some absolutely unhinged thing is kind of like par for the course, right? Like, we don't need a disclaimer on that. We kind of expect it coming from Steve Bannon and Marjorie Taylor Greene's, right?
I will say the craziness between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon.
True, that does deserve a TW.
It's just a different flavor. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a moron and a cultist in the truest sense. Steve Bannon gives me the vibes of somebody who has joined the cult to try to steer the cult for his own cynical or political purposes. I'm not sure he's actually drinking the Kool-Aid himself, but man,
Yeah, I think that this assessment is probably true. I just make the same comment every time. It don't matter.
He'll bring the cup to his lips and pretend that he is. So here's one clip in which Marjorie Taylor Greene talks about how President Obama is actually the one running the country, not President Biden.
Well, I think it's what we've all known all along. Obama is running the country.
Obama. Damn. This is news to me. This is news to me. Apparently, Obama is running the country, folks. That's right.
Obama is having his third term, so to speak, and everyone's always known that. And of course, he's coming out as the leader of the Democrat Party. But
what? Everyone's already known that. Wait, who's everyone?
because he always has been the leader of the Democrat Party. Joe Biden is just a puppet dangling on the strings, doing what Obama wants him to do.
Please rate your ad experience. I'm not going to touch that because then I just get, he's a fool getting no credit for work during retirement since 1776.
It's funny because there's actually been reporting to the contrary that President Obama and President Biden have had numerous disagreements about how President Biden's run his campaign, for example. I think this is in reference to the fact that President Biden and Presidents Obama and Clinton have been appearing together for a fundraising event. As a matter of fact, I believe that their most recent fundraising event with the three of them raised $25 million. It was the biggest fundraising event, I believe, in political history. And so now Marjorie and others are using this as an excuse to try to validate Donald Trump's gaffes, in which he constantly refers to Obama when he means to refer to Biden.
That's not a bad impression. This is the first time I've seen this channel. This is the first time I've seen this channel, and I'll give his Trump impression a 7 out of 10. Okay, it's definitely better than mine. So glad we have Senator John Fetterman and not clowns like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Wait. Well, I feel like that's missing. I feel like that's missing a kappa there. Trump keeps saying he's running against Obama. No way. Oh my goodness. Obama is running the country. Joe Biden is not in control.
By saying, actually, no, it really is. This is proof that Obama's running the Democratic Party. Okay, Marge. And in this next clip, she also throws that in there as well before she adds some other crazy stuff.
Obama is the leader of the Democrat Party, and he's been running the White House this entire time.
True. True. You know what? True.
Georgia is absolutely a linchpin.
Really bothers Trump that Biden is the most progressive president of our lifetime. True. The most progressive president of our lifetime. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. She's like a crazy parfait, just layers of crazy. Oh my goodness.
State here, right? We got to win Georgia, or President Trump is not going to return to the White House. So we got to win it like we won it in 2020. Of course, they stole it.
No. Georgia Georgia voted for Biden. Georgia was won by Biden by 11,000 something. However, Bannon is correct. Trump does need to win Georgia. Unfortunately, it is looking like it is more possible that Trump wins Georgia. Not like 2020.
I don't know, 9 or 10,000 votes. How does this play, do you believe, in the entire state of Georgia? How do you think this sets with people? You got Larry David, you got the laughing Hollywood elite, you've got Al Sharpton, you've
the laughing Hollywood elite. Oof.
Got Morning Mika. They're all in. Obama's there, $25 million. How does this elite Radio City Music Hall? They're going to do an after party. Dr. Jill's going to do an after party, right? Hanging with her buddies. How does that set down in Georgia?
It doesn't set well. So basically how we see it is that's the elites dancing and drinking and dining on the top part of the Titanic while the Titanic is sinking.
Ooh, for a second there, I thought we were going into some deep Nazi territory. Yeah.
And people are drowning, and people are losing their homes, and they're filing bankruptcy, and they've racked up more credit card debt than they ever thought was possible in their lifetimes. But yet the Bidens and the Democrats and all of these elites in our country are pretending it's not happening. And
so Bannon did confirm that the figure was 25 million. I do like how he says we got to win Georgia like we did in 2020. Obviously, they didn't win Georgia in 2020. But yeah, if that's how you want to win, then please be my guest. Please have a repeat of 2020. I would love it. Also kind of funny to hear Marjorie Taylor Greene stammer through some sort of indictment about President Biden and Presidents Obama and Clinton and others having these luxurious parties, these elites, when Donald Trump is partying all the time at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. I think that, it's so indistinguishable that whenever you hear, these far-right people just, use elites, it's very hard not to think that they just mean Jewish people, given the history of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon,
As a New York real estate billionaire. Apparently he does it in a non-elite fashion, these private galas, these ballroom galas where he's dressed up in tuxedos and their dress gowns and things like that. That's not elite because it happens in Florida, I guess, and Republicans are doing it. But when Democrats get together, that's elitism, which is very bizarre. Another clip here in which Marjorie Taylor Greene again suggests, because she like Trump won't let this go, the 2020 election obviously wasn't stolen. It was Greene and Trump and others who tried to steal the election from President Biden, but they won't let that go. They won't let that conspiracy theory go. So here she is.
I think at this point they can't, right? At this point, like, there is nothing that they can do that will stop that conspiracy theory that the election was stolen. It's already self-sustaining. Like, even if Trump were to come out tomorrow and say that, you know, I was actually wrong, the election wasn't stolen, people wouldn't believe that. His cult wouldn't believe that wholesale. Anyways.
Relitigating it for no reason and suggesting that, well, the proof that we have, we'll have it for you all pretty soon. It's been 4 years.
Happened in 2020 when absentee ballot voting was at its highest. And so when
Okay, that's not evidence of voter fraud or anything like that. Welcome, Joey John. That just means that more people decided to vote by mail because of the pandemic, and more of those people that decided to vote by mail were Democratic voters because your moron of a candidate depressed the Republican absentee vote. That's what happened, okay? That's what happened.
President Trump got on the phone with our Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and said, can you find the votes? Where are they?
The very perfect phone call.
He was basically looking for ballots, and these ballots have been lost in the mail.
No
and
evidence
so
of
there
that.
was nothing wrong with what President Trump said. As a matter of fact, I think he'll be vindicated easily by a lot of the work that I'm doing and the proof that I'll be showing pretty soon.
My favorite beef sticks are from Paleo Valley. They are 100% grass-fed.
Okay.
It's been 4 years. Just either you have the evidence or you don't. Spoiler alert, she doesn't.
Okay, Marge. Obviously, you remember that phone call. It was one of the most infamous phone calls and public demonstrations of corruption that we've seen. And naturally, it would be from the Republican Party and Donald Trump, in which he's pressuring election officials in Georgia. Guys, just find me 11,788 votes. We just need one more. You know, that's how you know Trump was actually fishing for fake votes, because if he genuinely believed that he won by a total landslide, he wouldn't simply be asking for one more than Joe Biden. He would say, guys, I know there are like 30,000 votes missing. There are 30,000 votes you haven't accounted for. We need you to find them. Instead, he gave a very specific self-serving number, which was merely one more than the guy who actually won the 2020 election, Joe Biden. And we'll play this clip here, probably not the full thing, but again, Marjorie Taylor Greene and her conspiracy-addled brain is suggesting that, in fact, the current election system is being rigged to preempt a victory for Donald Trump and the Republicans in 2024. Does she have evidence? Obviously not, but it just feels good for her to say.
Extremely upset, especially.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good. I'll give him a 7 out of 10. He does a better Trump impression than I do. I do a pretty hilariously bad impression. Redman, welcome. Trump didn't just ask to find an untabulated ballots. He has to find enough ballots to win the exact number. With an exact number, he never identified a body of uncounted ballots. Exactly. It's as plain as day, you know?
Since I've been learning about the failures of the post office and how many absentee ballots do not get counted because they come in late. And this is something that I'm working on very hard with some election offices across the state. And it's more I've got to deliver to you at a later time when I have the numbers.
Hang on, but I know. You want to get the facts first. Are you telling this audience, the most powerful audience in all MAGA, that there are issues with the primary that really haven't been disclosed yet, that there are issues with mail-in ballots in the Georgia primary? Is that what you're telling us?
Yes.
How could that happen? How could that
is absentee ballots that people trust to be able to vote on and to be able to mail in and trust that their vote will count are not coming in and being counted on time. As a matter of fact, many of them are coming in late, and enough of them are coming in late that could affect our election in.
Nah, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Also, your lot isn't going to use mail-in ballots as much as Democratic votes.
2024, and that's going based on the presidential primary in Georgia that just happened just a month ago. That's also based on 2022 and 2020. These absentee ballots cannot be trusted because the post office is not delivering them. Now, the question as to why the post office is not.
That means what exactly? No clue. This is all fiction. This is all fiction.
Delivering them is a whole nother issue.
Whole nother issue should be the title of her autobiography because she's got an endless supply of them. Listen, it's fun to make fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's good. It's cathartic. It's the only right response to her. Yes, she's dangerous. She wields state power as a fascistic cult member. She hates democracy. She hates popular majority. She hates the will of the people. She loves Donald Trump. She hates the Constitution. She thinks he's a god king. And she wields state power as an elected member of Congress. So it's good to make fun of her. And the problem is, there doesn't seem to be an end to her conspiracy theories or her association with power. What I mean to say is, she's still in office. She has been reelected. She seems to have close proximity, first to former Speaker Kevin McCarthy when he was Speaker, then apparently to Mike Johnson, but not so much now. So she's a very influential chaos agent, and she's not seen the political or electoral repercussions of her actions. Hopefully that will happen in the next election for her.
Well, maybe. He still would have lost, yep. My subs are getting more and more expensive. Subflation, Jesus. That's not cool.
It would be nice to see. But in the short term, we need to identify these conspiracy theories, make fun of them.
Yeah, Bidenomics.
And do everything in our power to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't win the 2024 election, which is why if you're an eligible voter, I would encourage you to make a plan to vote blue in November.
Man. The fact that they're still stroking this this fire is not good. Not great. Because now we're not talking about like months before an election. We're talking about 4 years of stoking these this conspiracy theory. If Trump loses the election, whew. These people are going to go hog wild. Nope, just capitalistic fuckery. What does Canada ever do to Amazon? AT likes to pet fire. I do I do like to pet vaquita, so that is kind of like petting fire. Hog Wild, I'm sorry. Yes, Hog Wild. Well, if Trump loses, I would say that just be prepared and I guess we'll try to stay tuned as to what's going on. Momentary lurk so I can make dinner. Gotcha. Speaking of dinner. That's funny. I'm already getting hungry, folks. Alright, we were supposed to go over this yesterday, but we didn't have time. Echo Resto Dragon, I believe, was the one that gave us this. So we were only able to go through the cliff notes. MyPillow owner Mike Lindell, election denier, has been formally evicted from Minnesota warehouse. A court ordered the eviction yesterday of MyPillow from a suburban Minneapolis warehouse that it formerly used, but the company founder and prominent election denier Mike Lindell said it's just a formality because the landlord wants to take the property back. Lindell denied in an interview with the AP that the eviction was another sign of his money woes. He said his financial picture is actually improving after a credit crunch last year disrupted cash flow at MyPillow after the company lost one of its major advertising platforms and was dropped by several national retailers. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Lindell faced a setback last month when a judge affirmed a $5 million arbitration award in favor of a software engineer who challenged data that Lindell said proves China interfered with the 2020 presidential election and tipped the outcome to Joe Biden. Lindell acknowledged in January that Fox News stopped running MyPillow commercials amid a billing dispute. I'm sure that's what it is. Instead of, the $700 and something million lawsuit that they had to deal with for, election denialism. Lindell confirmed yesterday that MyPillow owes around $217,000 to Delaware-based First Industrial LP for rent in the facility of Shakopee. He said MyPillow no longer needed the space and removed its remaining property from the warehouse last June before subleasing the space to another company through December. Another company was going to start subleasing the space in January, but backed out and left us all stranded, he said. MyPillow offered to find another tenant, but the landlord just wanted to take back control of the warehouse. The $217,000 is for unpaid rent for January and February, he said, and MyPillow continues to lease space elsewhere. The Star Tribune reported that a Scott County judge held a hearing on Tuesday on the warehouse owner's request to formally evict MyPillow, which did not contest the landlord's request. MyPillow has more or less vacated, but we'd like to do this by the book, attorney Sarah Philo, representing First Industrial, said during the hearing, the newspaper reported. At this point, there's representation that no further payment is going to be made under his lease, So we'd like to go ahead with finding a new tenant. It's like sugar and bitter news coffee. Exactly. Lindell, who continues to propagate former President Trump's lies, that the 2020 election was stolen from him in part by rigged voting machine systems, still faces defamation lawsuits by two voting machine companies. Lawyers who were originally defending him in those cases quit over unpaid bills. Yeah, but totally fine. No money troubles here. No money troubles.
Real.
It is fascinating. In the wake of this bridge collapsing in Baltimore, 6 people presumed dead, 6 of them who were hired by, I think, probably contracted company to fill potholes on the bridge. Don't know all the details of these workers. Most of them, my understanding is, of Central American background. Don't know when they came to the States. At least one of them was a 19-year Baltimore resident. And instead of looking at the fundamental issue that you have a behemoth of a shipping company, which has in the past been cited by the federal government for labor practices that have prevented essentially whistleblowers from going to the government and saying, we got a problem with some of the safety on these ships. And there's no indication that one of those problems caused this, though it very well may have. But the point being that you have a ship this large running up against a bridge that was not built for impact by a ship this large. And we as a society absorbing the externalities that this company essentially.
Yeah. Also, again, I don't know if a big ship like that is hitting the bridge, it's going down.
Offloads on society to increase their profit margin. And the way you respond to this, if you're a right winger, is to look at none of those things. And of course, basically say it is a functional Dr. Seuss issue or DEI. Here is Victor Davis Hanson. This is the senior fellow at the Hoover Institute. And this is where they're going with this. This is their big intellectual think tank.
Can say I would certainly if it had adequate dolphins built. Maybe, yeah. It can at least absorb some impact and possibly redirect the ship. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just see how massive these things are, but then again, I also don't fully I don't fully know how much power, something like that has, versus how much these things are designed to stop ships. But I don't know. That may be the case.
We're racists. So, Victor, I don't mean to say that because Maersk has this new DEI push, people likely died in Baltimore this morning. But I do mean to say there's a pattern here. Boeing had to fire its whole senior management because they were focused on DEI, and some of the safety protocols at Boeing seem to be having shortcuts run around them. Is the prioritizing of safety above everything else not happening? And is this part of the cultural revolution happening in America now?
Whew. Yikes. Lot to unpack there. No, is the short answer. No, you're just racist.
I think so. We saw the same thing. We've had problems with the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. We've had problems with Boeing, as you pointed out. We've had problems. I think United Airlines had 7 near catastrophic events in over a 2-week period. We don't know the exact relation to cause and effect, but we do know this, that the world is much more interconnected. It's much more fragile than it ever has been. It's much more sophisticated, and it demands an ever greater level of expertise. But just at the time that we're building bigger and bigger and more dangerous ships, or we're assembling longer and longer trains that derail, like we saw at East Palestine with more and more toxic, we're not.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, what is the common theme between all of those incidents, right? Like the Boeing incidents, the train incident. What was the common factor in both of those? If you recall, there was almost an entire railroad strike over the very safety issues that caused the derailment in East Palestine, the Norfolk company. Boeing has had these issues because it has decided that it's going to cut corners for safety. This has nothing to do with DEI. Think of it like this. When you go rollerblading or skating on wheels, you weigh a tremendous amount compared to a small stone and are often going at a relatively decent speed, and that small stone can literally just stop your forward momentum right where you make that contact. That's true. That makes a lot more sense. As someone who has skateboarded and has been yeeted off their skateboard by the tiniest of pebbles, I understand that. I understand that logic. I understand that logic. That makes sense. Many a times have I been defeated by a tiny pebble skateboarding, getting thrown off my board.
Upping our game as far as increasing the level of expertise and especially, Eric, meritocracy. So we're not hiring necessarily the best people. We used to say we're going to hire the best people.
I mean, this is just so.
There's zero. This is completely off base. There's no indication that them hiring incompetent. Are you saying like the crew is incompetent? How? Where's your evidence for that? We don't know that yet. Okay. What we know is that there was a power failure and the ship was not able to stop in time, not able to redirect. And plus, the bridge wasn't even built to handle it. Blame the worker always. Yeah.
Unbelievably outrageous. And it's amazing to me. They can talk about what happened in East Palestine. This is exactly the same dynamic we saw with these shipping behemoths. And frankly, with Boeing. There are profiteers. The reason why those trains are that much longer is because they want to hire less people to work on them. It doesn't matter how skilled you are.
Which is literally one of the concerns that caused the railroad workers to strike. That was literally one of their complaints, was that there's not enough people. It's not safe because you don't have enough people and you're overworking the crews that you have. So of course mistakes are going to be made. Did the crew make mistakes here? I don't know. As far as we know, the engine failure could have been caused by a lot of different things. The reality is we just don't know yet. I mean, heck, the engine failure of this ship could have even been caused by the type of fuel. We just don't know. Not yet, anyways.
At working on a train, if you're understaffed, you're understaffed. It doesn't matter how skilled you are as a pilot. if the company building the planes is cutting corners because they want to increase their stock valuation, it doesn't matter how good of a pilot you are. I mean, it is stunning to watch them do this.
Boeing can't even keep it consistent. He's like, are we prioritizing safety? And like, that's actually not the complaint you're making. The complaint you're making, Eric, is that they're prioritizing diversity over safety, right? But the actual thing is profit is being preferred.
100%. 100%. This is about CEOs and people in the C-suite essentially having a cottage industry within these companies where their compensation is tied to nothing but the stock valuation. And so if that means we can do more with less people and that's sustainable for a certain period of time, I'm going to get richer.
I'm going to sell
and
my
frankly,
stock
at the end of the day, I'm going to walk away with millions upon millions of dollars, maybe in some instances, hundreds of millions, some instances, maybe billions. And I'm not going to worry about it too much if the company goes into the crapper because I got my money.
They're going to blame the workers and not walk that back, even if it's not their fault. Viewers eat it up and regurgitate it to one another. Yep.
It's amazing to watch an adult say this. Let's finish it up and see what he's saying. And it's also I want you to remember the way Eric Bolling brought this in, because every single one of the right wingers that we have talking about this did the exact same thing. Yeah. I don't know if DEI had anything to do with this ship, but it gives me a good opportunity to pretend like it did. But continue with this.
So we're not hiring necessarily the best people. We used to say we're going to hire the best people regardless of their color of their skin.
Pause it for 1 second. Where are the best people? Where are the best people going? Are they just out of work? Is that what's going on? The best people are out of work? Are the best people working at some other like airline manufacturer? It's just absurd. What other ships are the best ship captains? Where do they? What do they do? They're just they're working in real estate now. I mean, what like this is absurd. It's absurd.
My name is Katerina. I am acting field coordinator in Odessa.
I am Vladimir, team leader.
Necessarily the best people. We used to say we're going to hire the best people regardless of their color of their skin, their sexual orientation. Now we're saying, well, we may hire the best people, but more importantly, is their ideology or their ethnicity or their gender or their sexual orientation. And unfortunately,
literally not how that works. I see it's practiced just during job searches. They want you to do what is either the work of two people and sometimes three people, or they're combining two different positions into one for like 11 to 14 bucks an hour. Yep. Bink Princess, welcome. Welcome.
It's exactly the wrong time to do it because it's a much more dangerous, interconnected world. And when you have a foreign company doing this with a foreign crew, and we don't know what our people were doing, but you're just risking the chances that something's going to go wrong. And you saw the same type of ads. I went back and looked at Boeing's ads. I went and looked at
absolutely disgusting. These people are vile.
United even said not that it was going to have 50% DEI applicants for its pilot training and crew training, but it was going to graduate or employ 50%. So it was an equality of result, not of opportunity.
Yeah, like for this represents a fundamental, like, complete misunderstanding, like complete ignorance of how the shipping industry works. It happens to be that I have a little bit of insight on how that goes. And as Conscious Connect just pointed out, all ships have foreign crews. Unless they're an American vessel. Unless they're an American flagged vessel, they're going to have foreign crews.
It's not a pilot issue.
Ads.
Like, what are we talking about? A pilot issue? This is a manufacturing issue.
Pilot didn't hold on to the door as it fell off.
It is just they all use this as an opportunity to say, like, oh, yeah, we're all doing the racism thing. If you want to participate in racism and engage in this racistly, here we are.
The so-called progressives are actually regressing.
Thanks, BB. Want to do Dave?
Yeah, let's go to Dave.
Yeah. We heard Eric Boiling. How did he introduce?
Yeah, but but are they white? Exactly. Honestly, anything to do with non-American people, Americans are oblivious to 9 out of 10 times. Not going to totally disagree with that.
Is this?
It's true.
He said, well, I don't know if this is a function of DEI, but it could be. And let's do a whole segment on how there are too many black people, too many women, too many brown people, too many gay people who are getting hired for things. And that's why the whole world is falling apart now. Let's see Dave see if he can't.
Yeah, from one thought leader to another, Hoover Institution to the Rubin Institute.
But anyway, I thought it was
from one thought leader to another.
Worth covering, because if you haven't seen it, I mean, this sort of thing is why it's important to have the best engineers, the best builders, the best everything building infrastructure. I don't know that there was anything unsound with the bridge itself. But when you watch something like that collapse, it's like we should have the best of the best building all of our stuff. And I think you can already see where I'm going with this, that once you...
What? How do I respond to this? Dave. A container ship hit the bridge, dude.
You allow that woke thing, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with that specifically.
Positive.
But this bridge was built in the 70s.
Once you will...
It was pretty obvious where he was going as soon as he opened his mouth. Every day. Every day. Yeah. Do you think he was going to call it? Thank gosh for the IRA.
Yeah.
Thank God we had a bill that dealt with infrastructure. We need more of that. We need to have the government pay more and more for engineers because we want the best. We need to have the best infrastructure. No, that's not where he's going.
No, of course not. Respond with tax the rich so we can pay for it. Exactly. They absolutely can never, ever, ever, ever admit that their business model is what is causing these accidents because the top 5 considerations for corporate business are profit, short-term profit, increasing the rate of acquiring profit, and long-term profit and maximum revenue. True.
Of course not. Go back.
Building all of our stuff. And I think you can already see where I'm going with this, that once you allow that woke thing, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with that specifically.
But
once you will decide, okay, we won't hire the best of the best to build our planes or build our bridges or build our buildings.
Sorry. In other words, I'm talking about this bridge and what happened there. And the only thing I can actually even reference to it, even though it...
Wait, who builds planes? Isn't that like private corporations? Huh.
Has nothing to do with that, is that we're hiring too many women and black people and brown people and even gay people. Good.
The woke thing, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with that specifically, but once you will decide, okay, we won't hire the best of the best to build our planes or build our bridges or build our buildings or our roads or whatever else, then bad things are going to happen. But anyway, I thought it was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how this whole new move. I like that. You can tell he's using his brain because he's pointing to it.
Yeah.
True. Economics isn't real if you believe money isn't necessary nor real for a fruitful life. I get what you're saying, but unfortunately, it is the reality that we've been subjected. The high-level idea. We're still recovering from these high-level ideas. Unfortunately, yeah, we are subjected, whether we like it or not, to this. So, unfortunately, while I understand what you mean, economics is real, in the sense that it does have a physical manifestation of how society operates. Economics is a measurement of something that doesn't need to be measured. That's not that's not 100% true, is it? Economics is a measurement of something that doesn't need to be measured. That's not what economics is. Reading Rap, welcome. I mean, that's true. Have you considered democratic socialism, Marxism, socialism, anarchist socialism, social democracy, market socialism, utopian socialism, Christian socialism, Leninism, Trotskyism, Maoism, Luxemburgism from... Is it Anna Luxemburg? No, that's not her first name. Council communism, African socialism, green socialism. Hey, there's a concept. Feminist socialism, queer socialism, post-colonial socialism, ecological socialism. There's a thought. Democratic confederalism, syndicalism. There's another thought. Neo-socialism, cooperative socialism, state socialism, reformist. Third one, Jesus. And read rapism, of course. Welcome. Welcome. We're doing some high-level ideas, okay?
This is where this is coming from. It's coming from right up here, folks. This is all... I'm thinking about this. I didn't just get this in an email. It's just a coincidence that I'm opening this up exactly in the same way that Eric Boiling is on some other show. Like, these things are completely unrelated, but I just happened to come up with the same connection that Boiling and Victor Davis Hanson had. It's unbelievable.
I don't think it's about like hiring the best of the best. I think it's about adequately staffing and not cutting those corners.
Swing State says they think they're criticizing DEI, but they're actually criticizing capitalism. But yes, but they're obscuring the critique of capitalism by pretending it's DEI.
They're kind of criticizing the workers more than they're criticizing the capitalists. And basically the workers have made the capitalists be woke and not hire the way that they have historically done it, which is of course ludicrous.
Right. Like they'll reach like right up to the tippy top before crossing over to actually criticizing capitalism, but they will never criticize capitalism. Well, I suppose there's only one way to find out, yeah? Democrats see rescuing Speaker Johnson as best bet for Ukraine aid. You know, out of all the things that they can hustle Mike Johnson for, this is the thing that they're trying to hustle Mike Johnson for. A growing chorus of Democrats say dinner's starting to smell good. True. Dinner is going to be ready soon, so I got to hustle. Worst hustle of Mike Johnson ever. Those stupid frogs have just got to leave those scorpions alone. Exactly. A growing chorus of Democrats say promising to protect Mike Johnson from a budding conservative coup could be their best chance to secure military aid for Kiev that has been stalled in Capitol Hill for months. Johnson left Washington last week, vowing to take up the explosive issue of foreign aid when lawmakers returned mid-April after a long holiday recess. But hardline conservatives in the GOP conference are firmly opposed to sending billions of dollars more to Ukraine, particularly if it's not combined with efforts to secure the U.S.-Mexico border. And Representative Green has already filed a motion to oust the speaker if he bucks the conservatives' demands, a thinly veiled warning for Johnson to keep any form of Ukraine aid off the floor. Democrats are increasingly stepping into this internal Republican clash, and many of them are vowing to shield Johnson from Green's motion to vacate if the speaker acts on a Senate-passed foreign aid package, which includes $60 billion for Ukraine and billions more for Israel, Taiwan, and humanitarian aid to Gaza. If the choice is between Ukraine aid and providing a vote to stop a motion to vacate or no Ukraine aid, I think there's a lot of Democrats who would be willing to assist in getting it done. Nah, what are you on about? This is poor decision. This is poor strategy. How about forcing Mike Johnson to do something actually good? If they can hustle Mike Johnson to put some good bill on the floor, and say that they will support, they will support, to protect Mike Johnson, then why use the Ukrainian aid? Throbs, what is this chat about? It's about chat. But instead, the Democratic Party has decided that they're going to offer to protect Mike Johnson in exchange for Ukrainian aid. Who the F is Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House? If the choice is between Ukraine... Okay, we went as Himes, the senior Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, was quick to stress he'll support whatever approach is ultimately adopted by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who has so far declined to say if he'd help rescue Johnson from a potential right-wing vote. Nah. We're very conscious that we're not going to freelance in such a way as to put Leader Jeffries in a bind. But Himes also promoted the Johnson rescue strategy, an extraordinary two-step dance aligning the conservative speaker with some of his Democratic critics as the most viable option if Congress hopes to adopt Ukrainian aid before November. The alternatives, including a pair of discharge positions designed to force foreign aid to the floor, simply don't have bipartisan support to be successful. Now, second in line for the presidency. In the U.S., has he pissed someone off? Who? Mike Johnson? Yes, he pissed off the fascist Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's only strategy. For whatever reason, the 20 Republicans that I heard take blood oaths in Munich about how we must do absolutely everything to get Ukraine aid passed, it turned out that absolutely everything didn't include signing a discharge petition. So given the fact that absolutely everything for lots of Republicans doesn't include taking the massive political risk of signing a discharge petition, which nobody's ever heard of half a mile away from Capitol Dome, I think that the speaker putting a bill on the floor and our insulating him from the tender mercies of Marjorie Taylor Greene is probably the only option. Some rank-and-file Democrats are already jumping on board. Representative Jared Moskowitz, a first-term representative and member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, told The Hill he will not support Greene's motion to vacate under any circumstance, and I will never side with Marjorie Taylor Greene ever. I will never turn the People's House over to her. But if another member tries to remove Johnson, he would be inclined to protect the speaker if the ouster was prompted to moving aid for Ukraine. If you're telling me Speaker Johnson comes out with a bill that's going to stand by Ukraine and Israel and do humanitarian for Palestinians in Gaza, then there's a motion to vacate him over that. No, I'm not going to support that. Adam Smith, the ranking member of the Armed Service Committee, said last month that Democrats would support Johnson if he moves to Senate National Security Supplemental. And Representative Eric Swalwell of California told The Hill last week he will do whatever helps the caucus priorities for our country, but noted the ouster effort may provide the best shot at getting the needed aid to Ukraine. The Democrats' approach to Johnson's fate marked a sharp departure from the party's sentiments towards its predecessor, McCarthy, who was removed from power in October by unanimous Democratic backing. A number of Democrats said afterwards they had offered to help McCarthy survive the expulsion vote, but the cocksure California Republican declined. Relegated to the backbencher status, he resigned from Congress in December. McCarthy, for his part, denied the motion. He turned away Democratic support during an extensive exit interview in the Capitol hideaway shortly before he resigned from the House. The California Republican facetiously told reporters, "I'm sure I didn't ask," when pressed on Democratic claims that he did not request for help. Speculation has swirled that for weeks, Democrats, if faced with another GOP motion to vacate, would consider saving Johnson if he agrees to move on aid for Ukraine. Although the Senate passed its foreign aid package with support from 70 senators, including 22 Republicans, Johnson has refused to consider the bill. The impasse has infuriated Kiev supporters on both sides of the aisle, who said that the aid is urgently needed to give Ukraine's waning weapon arsenal. Last month, centrist Representative Josh Gottheimer circulated a resolution that would make it more difficult for conservative hardliners to oust Johnson from the top job, but made it contingent on the chamber staging a vote of legislation to send aid to Ukraine, Israel, and other allies abroad. As the House inches closer to another potential ouster of a sitting speaker, the speculation has kicked into overdrive. Quote, "I'm certain that there's a huge number of folks, including me, that will have just about any conversation to ensure that we will get this national security supplement done," said Representative Greg Landsman of Ohio, told The Hill when asked about saving Johnson in exchange for moving Ukraine aid. Green, to be sure, has not yet forced a vote on her motion to vacate. She's only filed a resolution on Friday, and she has not indicated when she plans to pull the trigger, saying it will be a rolling issue. But the firebrand Republican strongly suggested that the battle over Ukraine aid could get the ball rolling on her efforts to oust Johnson, telling reporters the speaker should not bring funding to Ukraine to the floor when asked last week if moving assistance for Kiev would prompt a vote on her resolution. Here's the problem. Republicans are going to save him. Yeah, and it's not even that they're going to save him by getting something good. They're going to save him over tens of billions of dollars that we desperately need. I'm sorry, but there's so much that we could do. How much billions are we gonna send to Ukraine? Where is it? I didn't say it. Anyways, tens of billions. How much do you think we could do with that? Most of the money doesn't actually leave Northern Virginia. Is there a weapons manufacturing? Other hardline conservatives are sounding a similar note, though no one have publicly joined Green in calling for Johnson's ouster. The Speaker of the House should not put a Ukraine straight. Oh, okay, the defense. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, this makes sense. Solidarity with the working class and people forced to fight this war. The Speaker of the House should not put a Ukrainian bill on the floor unless or until we have meaningful reforms to deal with our wide open border, and we've been clear about that. And I think it will be very clear to the Speaker that it would be a mistake to go down that road, and our job is to make that clear," said Chip Roy. Heading into next month's debate, Johnson has floated a vague outline of his plan, telling Senate Republicans that the House will move its own Ukrainian package and send it back to the upper chamber. But the details of his strategy remains unclear, as does the question of how many Republicans would support his removal if his efforts triggered a vote to motion to vacate. Himes, for his part, predicted a number of Democrats would be willing to jump across the aisle to help keep Johnson in power, would be plenty to save the speaker if he ensures the package of the disputed foreign aid. As long as Leader Jeffries is okay with the strategy, I think we'll provide however many votes are needed. My guess would be how many members of Marjorie Taylor Greene's Mary Band, 15 to 20. We could easily provide that number in a motion to vacate. Yeah, like, again, there's so many things that you could that you could possibly be trying to, like, hustle Mike Johnson for, you know, and instead this is what Democrats are willing to defend Mike Johnson for. I say let them fight. I say let the Republican Party destroy itself. But you know, you can never count you can never count the Democratic Party out when it comes to fumbling something. To fumble a perfect opportunity to strong arm the Republican Party. Never count the Democratic Party out on fumbling it. What's the phrase? Snatching defeat out of the arms of victory. That's like the classic Democratic motto. Snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. Wait, is that right? Did I say it right, or is it backwards? No, snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. That's what it is. Yeah, you could definitely rebuild the bridge in Baltimore. They want a strong fascist party to vote against.
We are continuing and winning the fight to make America great again.
Winning.
With these Soros-backed prosecutors.
Jesus.
And I say to my Republican friends, take back your party. The country needs a big, strong Republican Party. Here I say that as a leader in the Democratic Party, but we need a big, strong Republican Party. You've done so much for our country. Take pride and take back your party. Don't have it be a cult of personality on the extreme right. This isn't about liberal or conservative. It's about radical, should we say, they don't believe in governance.
My sister in Christ. And the only thing that you need to be advocating for is your constituents' well-being. Okay, why are you advocating for a strong opposition party that is hell-bent on following this cult, this death cult, till the end? That is overtly, at this point, overtly fascistic. And by the time, this is 2 years ago. Fast forward 2 years now, we're talking like we're literally hearing rhetoric that is indistinguishable from the 1920s Germany, talking about how immigrants poisoned the blood of our country, things like that. No. We don't need a strong Republican Party. We don't, Nancy. She has her constituents or stocks in her family's portfolio. True. They want a party that efficiently transfers money to special interests. She says big, strong Republican Party as if she's writing a romance novel about a big, strong man. All we have is weak sauce.
So you see, for example, with COVID, if science says we should be wearing masks and government says you must wear a mask inside, they'll say we're anti-science, we don't believe the science to begin with, and we certainly are not going to obey the governance that requires that. That's one example. Of course, we go through this with climate change and so many other areas of denial that they're in. So
if you concede that these people are completely divorced from reality, if you concede that these people are divorced from reality, why do we want a strong version of that? Can we square that circle? Anyways, sorry, I'm getting off track. The point being, I think that video kind of encapsulates the attitude here. Why are you helping the Republican Party without getting some really good stuff in exchange, right? Like, you could ask for more infrastructure money. You could ask for more funding for like healthcare. You could ask, I don't know, for literally anything that could potentially benefit the American people. Instead, we have this. Weak. Yeah, literally get more funding to make sure that the literal program that Democrats let die, the child tax credit thing, that was really good. That was a really good thing that the Democratic Party got pushed through, and it's gone to an extent. All right, folks, it is 7 o'clock, so I got to finish up here. I think this is probably the most important of the articles, so we're going to go with this one. Israel faces growing U.S. ire on the war in Gaza. Israel has agreed to reschedule talks on Gaza that it had called off in protest just days ago, an apparent effort to mend a growing rift with Washington over a war that was highlighted Wednesday by resignation of the State Department official and new polling showed that the majority of the U.S. now disapproved of this ally's conduct. Nice! Keep it up, folks. Okay? Keep it up. This is good that the public is now in a majority disapproving of Israel's conduct. Good. You're listening too much the rhetoric. The rhetoric is distraction. Dems need a strong GOP to take the heat off them when they legislate against the will of the people. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna totally disagree with that. I'm not gonna totally disagree with that because that's literally what they've done. Yeah. The official Anel Shalin, who was focused on human rights issues in the Middle East, told NBC News that she felt that she had no choice but to publicly resign as the death toll in Gaza has soared past 32,000 people and as warning of an imminent famine in the Palestinian enclave reached a fever pitch. Shalin said she decided to quit in protest over ongoing U.S. diplomatic and military support for Israel. She said in a phone interview on Wednesday that she no longer wanted to be affiliated with a government that she said was enabling what has credibly been described as a genocide and charged both Israel and the U.S. Have vehemently rejected. I have a young daughter, Shalene said. Someday, reading about this in school, she might ask, what did I do? I want to be able to tell her that I tried to do as much as I could. The Biden administration has stepped up its criticism for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in this week and allowed a UN resolution, Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire to pass. Netanyahu responded by scrapping a planned visit to a high-level delegation, to Washington for talks over Israeli military plan for a ground offensive on Rafah, where more than 1 million people have sought refuge, but Israel says its troops must enter to eliminate Hamas. The Israeli leader has now backtracked and efforts are underway to set a new date for the talks, said White House spokesperson John Pierre told reporters. Despite the apparent effort to ease tensions, Netanyahu on Wednesday told a bipartisan U.S. congressional delegation that he had no intention of backing away from an offensive of Rafah. Victory is within reach. It's with a few weeks away, he said at the event organized by the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee in Jerusalem. But he said, now we're told you can't do this. If you go into Rafah, or you're gonna have a humanitarian catastrophe. Yeah, dude. I don't give a. I don't care. Okay. Enough is enough is enough. A lot of this is wild. Anyone knows why Twitch automatically highlights the unfollow button? Is it trying to tell you to unfollow me? Addressing concerns over the safety of the displaced Gazans sheltering there, including many children, Netanyahu suggested they can move. Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, they can just move further north, despite the fact that much of the infrastructure across the territory has been destroyed. Mine has been highlighting. Yeah, I think maybe Twitch is trying to tell you that you should just unfollow me. that's my conspiracy theory. Okay, I think Twitch is just saying to unfollow me. How can they move? They can't. They can't. Unfortunately, this is a catastrophic humanitarian disaster. They can't move, and the places that they have been told to move have been freaking bombed. So yeah. Mine highlights gifting a sub. See, I think it is Twitch trying to give subliminal messages here. It's not just you. It's not just me. Well, in my conspiracy theory, it is just me, okay? Twitch is operating in a subversive manner to try to coerce people to specifically unfollow me, okay? That's my conspiracy theory. But despite the growing clash between the two governments, some feel the United States has done too little to press its ally to change course in Gaza. Of course, we haven't done anything. At all. Shilin, who had shared her account with the Washington Post, was recruited to join the State Department as a foreign affairs officer in the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor as part of the Arabic language fellowship connected to her PhD program, and she quit last week, just halfway into her 2-year contract. Shilin said that the U.S. policy towards Israel made her job almost impossible, whether it was civil society groups simply not wanting to engage with U.S. officials over the country's backing of Israel, or fearing that engagement with the U.S. government would put them at greater risk. Shailene said that she tried to raise concerns internally, signing onto dissent cables and speaking with her supervisors as well as open forums, but to no avail. Quote, I was personally not expecting to shape policy, but it became clear that even moving the needle in a tiny way from the inside just wasn't going to work. State Department spokesperson Matt Miller has acknowledged a diversity of internal views on the war in Gaza and said that while Secretary of State Antony Blinken welcomes employees to speak up and challenge his thinking, That doesn't mean it will lead to a shift in U.S. policy. Cool. Thanks. Good to know. Ultimately, Miller told reporters that ultimately it was up to President Biden and senior leaders in his administration. Also good to know. Put a little tab on that. Sheehan is the second State Department official to publicly resign, citing the U.S. policy towards Israel since the genocide has begun 6 months ago after the October 7 attacks, in which Israel officials say 1,002 people have been killed and about 260 others were taken hostage, with more than 100 held captive in Gaza. And, tens of thousands of Palestinian civilians have died. Over at this point, what, 12,000 is the last, these are just rough estimates that we know of. These are rough estimates that we know of. About 12,000 ish are children. Okay? Children. Not to mention, like Michael Hester just pointed out, the famine that is imminent, according to the reports. If Israel continues down this path, it is imminent, especially with all the aid being blocked. If no changes on Israel's part, it is inevitable that a mass famine catastrophe is basically on its way. Truly, a heartbreaking, infuriating situation you're having. Like I don't know, like how else, what other things that you need to at this point. Like you're having people publicly resign over your policy over this. You're having like international bodies telling you that this is really bad. I mean, like, enough is enough is enough. What else do you need? The number of civilians is already at an unacceptable level. Netanyahu's lying, for one. This is not a good ally. Netanyahu on multiple occasions continues to slap the Biden administration in the face. They don't care. They have absolutely no incentive to listen. I mean, what else do you need? How many more? What is the acceptable death toll here? You know? Before you step in and say, that's it, enough is enough, we're cutting you off. Yeah, it's disgusting. Which, by the way, using famine as a weapon is a war crime. As if we didn't need to add any more, but yeah. Purposely starving people is a war crime. You can't do that. Maddening what we're doing and what they're doing. Yep. Our facilitation of this is reprehensible. All right, folks. It is past 7 o'clock, so I gotta get going. Folks, it's practically the weekend, okay? This Saturday, there's going to be a movie night, so if you want to join us, make sure you hit the exclamation mark Discord and join. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways. You can hit the follow button. It really does help us out. You can like the stream, subscribe on the YouTube. You can check out the exclamation mark merch. If you want to support the channel that way, you can. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for modding the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you, Read and Rap. Thank you, Kamikazeon. Conscious Canuck. Bink Princess, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Michael Hassler, the Simulacra. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see who else. Make sure I got everything. Firefly, thank you for mixing it up in the chat. I appreciate it. Wolf Glenn, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. I think I got everybody. Redmond Barry, thank you. Joey John, thank you. Cosmic Seeking, thank you. I think I got everybody. I appreciate that. Have a great Easter, you too. All right, folks, as always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Alviana, I hope to see you guys in the next one. Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. See ya. Hang tight, folks. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.